Viva Las Vegas! Sorry about that. This is the story, the short and sweet recap of how Mr. Hans Niemann qualified to play the freestyle chess tournament that's happening in Las Vegas later this year. He'll be sat across the board from Magnus himself. That's a classical chess time control. They'll be playing live. Absolutely mouth-watering. How did he do it? Well, he squeezed past Denis Lazavik. We're going to have a look at one of the greatest games he played. It's freestyle chess, so all the pieces jumbled up. Used to be called Fisher Random, of course. He came up with it. Or Chess 960, the different number of starting positions. Big old mess going on here. Let's just take it move by move and have some fun. So we see the King Pawn advanced by Denis Lazavik, another very strong youngster from Belarus. Now we see e5 in response, opening the bishops, and b3 opens the queen and hits the pawn. So you can't copy here. You do have to defend your center. Now we get the very stinky f3, f6, Niemann making his coach Hans Feingold proud, both opening their snipers, and now the knights gallop into the game. And this is actually very logical, because if you get a5 in, well, where's that knight going? It's got no hops. You can't really start playing d6, very ugly, blah blah. So this is natural to gain some space yourself. And now the committal bishop takes on b6, leaving Hans with a structure that only a mother could love. And here's the point. After bishop c4, you're not actually letting Hans get away with having this bishop pair for the rest of the game. If he takes here, not played, you get this beautiful light squared grip, and white's doing quite well. Also opportunities to pressure that bad pawn. So after bishop c4, Niemann just develops his own one, stops white from castling there. Now we see takes here, rook recaptures, and the knight gallops in. Knight b5 was also strong. There's a huge threat here to win the whole house. So we see castles. Looks weird. Don't worry if you've had a drink, we see it too. It's the weird kind of chess 960 castling thing. But now there's no more fork. But look at poor Queenie. She's locked out in Siberia there. We see knight d3 hitting the bishop. One of the drawbacks of putting it on c5. But this is Niemann's point. He just ignores and plays king b8, saying fine, if you want to capture and then change my pawn structure, well, at least I get the dark squared grip. Plus, you help my queen get out later on. And this one, by the way, looks out for some check ideas. So now we see pawn c3 takes control of those dark squares. Queen a6 looks like you're making progress. But after this queen covers the knight, we now see bishop d6. And there's quite a traffic jam. D-Laz now misses a big opportunity for advantage here, because after castles connecting the rooks, lovely jubbly, Niemann drops back to challenge this monster stallion in the centre. And there's a way to play here where you simply take, bishop recaptures, and the explosive c4 just cements the entire position. No pawn breaks for you, sir. Good minor piece versus bad minor piece. And how does the queen enter the game? It doesn't. You can't do it unless you play this kind of long maneuver. Meanwhile, you can go d4, engine wants it, or you can just do this. Absolute dominant piece, beautiful, queen still trapped out. Great positional play, but missed. Not takes was played, instead drops back. Now it allows Niemann to go bishop c5 with a pin on this knight here. Again, c4 is a great move just to keep the queen in jail. But we see takes, and it's a really bad way to play. Suddenly the queen's had her eyes opened. Knight c4, yes, spawns the seahorse, but runs slap bang into pawn d5. Liberating, and I've given it the brilliancy. I added that one because after knight takes, it sheds an entire pawn, but it speaks so much to Niemann's style. He loves to attack. This is what we now see. He goes g6 to cut the route back here. Now the queen drops, and he brings this knight Garry Kasparov used to say it was worth a pawn if you get your knight here as black or your knight here as white, you know, especially when the king's on g1 or g8. Now this queen comes to f2, hits a pawn there, but queen c6. It's excellent chess, defends here, gives this one, which was taken, because if you'd have defended with a pawn here, well, again, it's just suicidal. Your queen's so trapped out, you weaken light squares, b4's come in to rip open your king anyway, so this now activates and looks to slide over. It's all about initiative here, as it so often is with opposite sides castling. Now rook h8 played, we see rook fe1, rook h5, and D-Laz just never gets these pawns going. He really should. Hans whispering away, do you even rook lift, bro? He's in great shape right now. We see knight e3 played, looking to defend. This one doubles here, queen g3 covers, and you can, at this moment, crash through to the king. Now it wasn't played, but after this stunning pawn e4, this is the idea you have to see. The king's getting ripped to shreds. No g3, you can switch the transfer over, and if you do something like, whoops, didn't mean to do that, and if you don't do g3, then what are you doing? This is getting ripped, this is a discovery. If you run away with the king, then there's other good moves like knight h3 check, queen comes in, pawn helps the attack, but not obvious, because you are often attacking with just queens and pawns. So Niemann plays knight d3, going for the exchange. You could move it, but it's such a monster of a piece. Black carries on attacking. This was actually the best defensive move, covering the square, but also pressuring the center. I half expect Denis to find that, to be honest, with all the pressure it then opens up, but missed. He goes h3, and he gets way too defensive here. How often do we see it when someone's being attacked? They go into their shell. Now we see knight takes here. Queen d7 was also strong there, but let's crack on with the game. Rook recaptures, now queen d7, and it's a double attack, because this one's not only attacked, but also, say if you defend, well, you crash through here like this. Queen takes and queen takes. There's a pin, of course. That's absolutely curtains. So what do we see in the game in this position to deal with both threats? It's pawn g4 for the score. You cut out that queen and you now laterally defend. So king a7 played. Comes away from the x-ray of the queen. We're going to see why. Denis goes knight c4, thrashing a little bit, you know, defends now, plus pressures the center, but this one's been all over the place to no avail, and Niemann now just plays the first of about 3 brilliant moves, starting with pawn e4. That one can be taken 2 ways. We're going to examine this one, not played. Why not? Well, the shot is bang, rook takes on g4, pawn recaptures, takes, king takes, and you just crash through, and this is a winning position. The king's hopelessly exposed, the queen's too powerful against rook and minor. So in the game, we saw rook takes. If you ignore it, well, you're going to get ripped open anyway. And now rook d5, just transferring, you know, you cleared the pawn. And this is really the point. Give material, generate the attack, open the king. We now see rook e3 waiting, and f5, I mean, throwing all the foot soldiers down. Denis has got, what, 3 extra pawns, despite being an exchange down, but still Niemann's not done. a5 in response, looking to go to fork Vegas. We love to see it. And now in response, we get queen d8. You have to take a quick time out. Queen g3 is played, and now get your umbrella out, or your brolly, as we like to say in this country, because it's raining brilliancies. You fought queen and rook, so you have to take it. You're now 4 pawns ahead, but you do win 1 back, and you're opening the king. And the only move to leave white with a micro advantage, apparently, according to Ival Barovic, is this kooky looking knight a3, headed for here with check. Far from obvious. Rook e2 was played, looking to get pieces off. Queen h4, rook h2 goes for the exchanges, but now we get the final brilliancy of the game. Who is this guy? Where has he come from? It's rook f5. Would you look at that? And the queen has basically got nowhere to go. Because say you try and move it away from the attack, or first, sorry, what if captures? Well, we're not going to explore that because it happens in the game. But if you go like this, let's say, going for the counter attack, I mean, even offering a perpetual check if nothing else, although you've got to be a bit careful, queen's on the square, then this is the follow-up. Takes with the queen, but now you check, and the f3 pawn is too weak. Here's a sample line, step up, you get bamboozled, step down, you still get bamboozled, something like this. This is actually a checkmate. So you can't actually run away with the queen anywhere, and that's why we see takes in the game. It allows this move of check, quick little intermezzo, then picking up the queen, so the queen gives herself up anyway, rook g2, and Niemann's got a full queen for rook and knight. Now there's a lot of pawns, but the big problem is the white king and the lack of harmony. I mean, this one's just been on a tour all over the board, but never actually getting anywhere. Truly a donkey. Now we see king a6, rook f2, and this one marches in. The king's so powerful in the end game, and the big problem is if you try and set up a fortress, you know, you couldn't really save it, takes would have been played anyway, then you run into problems, because after here and here, you know, say you try king f2 or something, well, queen d5, pawn's running anyway. So in the game we saw takes, this one recaptures, and because you've got that passed pawn there, plus the weak king, plus the pieces struggling, you have to now give one up to stop the advance. This is terminal. Denis is moribund, but he plays a few more moves here, getting run all over the board. Now he covers the pawn, but in marches the black monarch. It was about to kick away the king. This is how the game proceeded. Takes, check, rook blocks, another check, few more checks. Big run around here, and we reach this beautiful zugzwang position after queen g1. Final move of the game. Here Denis resigned. He cannot move his king anywhere. All these squares covered. He's got absolutely nothing. Can't move the pawn. So all he can legally do is move the rook. And of course you move it anywhere. Doesn't matter. Drops, and mate soon to follow. Or a stalemate if you're as terrible as me. Hope you enjoyed this game. Let's look forward to Magnus and Hans in Vegas, baby. And if you want to see another incredible game of chess, have a look at the video on the screen, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.